Right, it's 7 p.m. Good evening and welcome to tonight's City of Burnside Council meeting on the 16th of September 2025. Please stand if you are able and remain silent during the acknowledgements. We acknowledge the land we meet on today is the traditional land of the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the original custodians of the Adelaide region and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still important to the Kaurna people today. And we welcome other First Nations people to our meeting. On behalf of the City of Burnside, I gratefully acknowledge and pay respect to all those who have sacrificed their lives for this country and its people. We also consider in our thoughts all those who today are being affected by war around the globe, and especially those in Ukraine and the Middle East. We seek guidance in our debate as we make decisions that will impact on the lives of all who reside, study, work in or visit the City of Burnside. Grant us wisdom as we serve our community. Please be seated. Just some final reminders. Questions should be clear and succinct and not debated. Wait until I call you to speak according to the cue on my screen. Turn off your microphone when you finish speaking. Refrain from talking or making comments whilst a staff member or a council member is addressing the chamber. Be cognisant of behaviour standards when you speak. And I will be implementing clause 86 6B and 28A of the Local Government Act and ask a member to leave the chamber for a short period if behaviour does not meet the standards. We have three apologies this evening, one from Councillor Henschke, Councillor Hallett and Councillor Zing. I'll just remind you about declaration of interest. When it comes to a point, if you have to declare anything, please do. I seek someone to confirm the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 19th of August. Councillor Turnbull, you so move. Seconded by Councillor Jennings. All those in favour? Against? Carried. We have no questions for public question time. We do thank Leanne coming in from Eastwood Community Centre to provide us with an update. So Leanne, you have done this before. Come to the microphone and the chairs at the table in the middle, and you can start as soon as you press the button that says speak, and a red light will come on and you're ready to go. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight and for the ongoing support that you give to the Eastwood Community Centre. I just want to speak to you tonight. I believe that you have a copy of our outcomes report, but I just wanted to give you a bit of an overview also of what Eastwood has done in the last 12 months. So in the 24-25 financial year, the City of Burnside contributed $65,000, which is about 9% of our total income. Now, I know that sounds like a modest amount in the big picture, but what's extraordinary is just how much that funding allows us to do. It supports support groups and referral services, technology, programs for families, disability and multicultural communities, activities that tackle loneliness and social isolation, our community garden, infrastructure and sub-administration and management. For such a relatively small contribution, the return to our community is enormous. The past year has been one of our busiest. We recorded more than 21,600 attendances across 1,565 sessions. Everything from playgroup to cooking programs to support groups, community events and digital literacy workshops. We also know who's coming through our doors because we survey participants twice a year as part of our DHS funding. And what that shows is Eastwood really is for everyone. About 6 in 10 of our participants are over 55, with the biggest groups being people aged 65 to 74 and 75 plus. But at the same time, we've seen a welcoming plenty of younger families. About 1 in 7 are in the 35 to 44 age group, and our children's programs are bringing in the next generation. We're also a little more popular with women, about 6 in 10, but men make up a strong third of our participants. Importantly, we're seeing more people from multicultural backgrounds growing from 16% in November last year to 27% in May this year. So it's nearly 1 in 4 now. On top of that, around 1 in 5 are unpaid carers, supporting family members with friends or friends with disability, illness or ageing needs. And about 17% tell us they need help with things like mobility, self-care or communication. And approximately 60% of people come from the City of Burnside area, with the remainder from all over metropolitan Adelaide and beyond. So the picture is clear. Eastwood isn't just for one group. It's a place where seniors, families, multicultural communities, carers and people living with a disability all come together. And I think that's what makes us so special. So families and support really are at the heart of what we do. Just today, our playgroup welcomed 30 families, and 80% of those were from multicultural families. And one of the staff told me today that today we had 5 young mothers from China attend playgroup. One of them had been, but she engaged with 4 others in their local WeChat group and brought them all along. And they spoke little English, but they were grateful to be in the company of other parents and caregivers. And we have a Chinese social work student currently on placement at the centre, and so she was able to engage with them in their own language, which assisted a lot. So the attendance and feedback from our Tuesday morning playgroup, so we only started it 12 months ago, has been so strong that in August, which is last month, we started a second playgroup. So we have a Monday afternoon playgroup, so it's the first afternoon playgroup in our region. And importantly, I think one thing I just wanted to mention is that currently we access no other funding for playgroups or our children's activities. So at this point in time, they exist only because of the City of Burnside's support. So our kids' cooking programs are another highlight. They're mainly attended by a real mix of family backgrounds all coming together and often become the first step in people joining other programs. So one of my favourite examples is a mum with a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. So she's from Korea and she started with our ACE marketing course, and then she encouraged her husband to do our AI course, and she now comes to both playgroups and now has joined the cooking program as well. So she brings her 6-month baby son along, and so our staff and volunteers care for the baby so she can actually be part of the cooking. And I think that's really Eastwood in action, you know, breaking down barriers and creating safe, family-friendly opportunities where everyone belongs. But Eastwood isn't just about families, it's about support in every sense of the word. We host 10 support group meetings every week, so every day of the week, 1 or 2 groups meet at Eastwood. They include AA, Narcotics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Food Addicts, Cancer Support Group, and Compassionate Friends for bereaved family and parents and families. And this year we've also welcomed the Lavender Sobriety AA group for LGBTQ participants. And they moved to Eastwood from another location just a couple of months ago. And they found such a welcoming community that now some of them are attending other support groups as well. So Eastwood's also a safe place for people living with a disability, whether it be physical, intellectual or mental health. So many participants choose our centre because they know it's welcoming and inclusive. And all of our staff have completed a mental health first aid training. That means that people can take part in our programs knowing that they'll be supported. And all our staff know that people are at the heart of what we do. So no matter what else is happening, if someone needs a listening ear, we give it. So through our partnership with Baptist Care and the Community Connections program, we're also reaching some of the most at-risk groups in our community, especially international students, many of whom now take part in our programs and events. And our community garden continues to be one of the jewels in the crown of the centre. So families with kids, local business staff, neighbours, we see so many people using the garden every day that it's almost impossible to count. It's not just beautiful, it's a real gathering place. And when you add in our school holiday programs, our playgroup, which is called Little Garden Explorers, and Sunday Sounds and Friday night wine downs, it's easy to see why the garden's so loved. We've also built wonderful partnerships through cultural and community events. So the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra performed a concert at Eastwood last year with 110 attendees. And this year they've delivered 4 community workshops, so we were chosen to be one of their community hubs. And they've already booked us again as a community venue for their 2026 workshops. So alongside this, our adult community education programs continue to thrive, from our culinary capers to floristry, podcasting and AI for business. These programs have helped people gain new confidence and even employment opportunities. And our Digital Sisters program, which is created specifically for multicultural women, has been especially valuable. And last week, we also learned we've been successful with a new project, which is the Building Digital Communities program, which is in partnership with Bendigo Bank. So we're engaging new people through creative ideas like our Foodies Book Club, and it's only been running for 12 months, but our most recent event we had 40 people attend. And what was amazing is that only 6 of them had ever been to the centre before. So not only are we supporting our existing community, we're drawing constantly in new members. So we're proud of everything we've achieved, but it's worth remembering that as an independent not-for-profit, we're constantly balancing the line between keeping the lights on and making sure our activities are accessible to everyone. And what makes us different is we're responsive. If the community tells us something is needed, we work out how to make it happen, and often quickly. So I just want to quickly talk about our beautiful building and facilities. So the portion of the City of Burnside's funding, together with support from the Lions Club of Glenside and Skills SA, has enabled major improvements this year. From the City of Burnside's funding, we refurbished and painted the sitting room, replaced the main electrical circuit board in the centre, and installed new hand dryers in the bathrooms. And from the Lions Club of Glenside, we received $23,000, which enabled us to install a commercial dishwasher, washing machine and dryer, as well as painting offices and meeting room, new carpets and light fittings. And we were successful in getting a $55,000 Skills SA grant, which is the only capital grant we've received in recent years, and we're able to purchase height adjustable flip-top tables, lightweight chairs and high-end video conferencing system. So these tables and chairs have made a huge difference to the ability for the centre to host a range of activities, and the time that it takes to set up and pack down has been enormous. Although this year alone, Eastwood Community Centre invested $88,000 in infrastructure improvements and new furniture. Additionally, this financial year, we've also received funding to create an outdoor kitchen area in our garden, and this should be completed by March 2026. We'll also add enormous value to our community facility. And I stepped back and actually looked at our bigger picture, and over the last 5 years, we've invested more than $154,000 into infrastructure and maintenance in our building. So by the end of 2025, that figure will be $184,000. So these improvements extend the life of the asset and reduce Council's long-term financial obligations. As an aside, just prior to June, we received $70,000 from the winding up of the Cancer Care Centre, which we placed into a project development reserve for future projects. In early July, we were proud to welcome Julia Grant and Martin Cooper to the centre. They met with myself and my staff, and it was a great opportunity to show them firsthand the upgrades and the community programs that your support makes possible. Our outcomes data backs up everything I've just shared. As I said, our reporting to DHS, we conduct 2 survey weeks each year, one in November and one in May. And these surveys are voluntary and anonymous, and while it isn't possible to capture every person that comes through our doors, they provide a pretty reliable snapshot of our attendances and their experiences. In our surveys, 77% said they feel better connected to services, 82% feel better connected to others, 73% are more satisfied with their friendships and relationships, and 80% feel comfortable seeking help through the centre. So those numbers tell a powerful story. Eastwood is making people feel connected, supported, and less isolated. And while we could rest on our laurels, we never do. We're always looking for new ways to be inclusive, to offer more for people who work during the day, and to keep building stronger communities. Our Empower East NDIS networking events continue bi-monthly, with 50 to 70 people attending each time. And next week we'll host our My Money Matters Financial Literacy Conference for Women. It's the third time we've run this unique event, and these are other examples of the kind of activity that's out of the ordinary from most community centres. But there's a fine balance in what we do, ensuring we're always there for all members of the community, while also leading with fresh ideas and new opportunities. As the Director, I'm always seeking new ways to improve our facilities and expand our programs by accessing new grants and funding opportunities. So $65,000 may be a modest contribution from the City of Burnside, but what we achieve and the impact we make is far from modest. It sustains a service that simply aren't available elsewhere within our local community, nor often funded by other avenues. I would like to thank Mayor Anne Monceau and Councillor Di Wilkins and other members of Council who have attended our events and shown us support. I know diaries are busy, but please know my door is always open and my phone is always on. You're welcome at Eastwood any time. I would also like to acknowledge the support of Martin Cooper, James Brennan and Paul Elliott. They're always responsive. They mostly take my calls and reply to my emails quickly, which really is a testament to the strong relationships that have been cultivated over the past few years. Finally, I want to thank our community, our management committee, our volunteers, our staff, our participants and our supporters. Eastwood Community Centre has the motto, the heart of our community, and I'm so proud we live this every day. And while everything I've spoken about tonight isn't necessarily funded directly by the City of Burnside, having the opportunity to be in our beautiful building is what makes it all possible. The fact that we're still here 47 years on and still evolving is a testament to Eastwood Community Centre management, our innovation, and above all, our responsiveness to community need. So thank you again for your partnership. Your support doesn't just help us keep our lights on, it sustains a place where people can learn, share, connect and grow. So together we're making our local community and the wider City of Burnside more inclusive, more resilient and more connected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Dawes.
Yes, I did forewarn Leanne I'll have a few questions for her, so, first of all, thank you, Leanne, for coming in. A very good detailed presentation, both written, which we have read, and also verbal tonight, and thank you for this too, that you put on our desk tonight. The reason why I want to ask these questions, because I think this might be, I might be corrected by Mr Cooper, this might be the largest annual grant we give to a community organisation. It is, right? So, therefore, I'm pleased that you actually come in, and that by having that report, I can ask these questions. I'm going to ask two, and if someone else wants to ask a question, I'll come later. Is that okay, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay.
Get on with the questions, please.
Right, the first one. You had a lot of graphs there. One graph that I would like you to include in the future is what is the percentage of Burnside residents that take up your programs? Is that something that you can provide in the future? It's roughly 60%, I think, in the past, but...
Yeah, it is roughly 60%. One of my challenges with providing really accurate details of like we do collect postcodes, but a lot of, say, like the 10 or 11 support groups every week, due to the anonymous nature of those groups, we don't actually have those sorts of details.
Okay, but whatever it is, if you could include that in the...
Yeah, sure.
The second question is in the financials, which I know that Councillor Jones is always pleased about asking questions about, but you put aside this year $70,000 from your surplus towards project development. Can you just, is that a sinking fund, or can you explain why you've done that?
Yeah, so the reason that we've done that is we received $70,000 from the Cancer Care Centre upon their winding up. And so what we decided to do, whilst effectively it was a donation, so the Cancer Care Centre wound up and we were the recipients of their surplus funds, and so the commitment that we made to them was that we would put that funding towards wellbeing programs, some cancer support, and specific, funds as the years go on. So rather than just leaving it in, just in our general operating surplus, we decided that we would put that into a reserve just to earmark it for, for the future, that it wasn't just funds that was just sitting there, if that makes sense.
I'll ask the next person to speak is Councillor Davey to ask a question.
Thank you. Thank you, Leanne, very much for coming along tonight and for your very comprehensive information. My question relates to, you've covered just about everything, my great love for the Cancer Care Centre, and so I was very relieved when things got tough for them and Eastwood they were able to merge into your wonderful operation. So my question is, well done for managing those finances. I think that's a great way to do it. And are you also covering all of the courses that they ran and the support services, as well as that library that they had? Are you able to accommodate all of that?
Look, the Cancer Care Centre was an organisation very dear to my heart. Ironically, I managed it for about 18 months before I came to Eastwood. So we developed a very strong, close relationship over the time. The library actually went to, it didn't come to us purely because of, we just didn't have the space to actually house it. So we've continued the young women's, the support groups, young women's support group and a women's support group, and also their meditation. And also we're going to be developing some more of their program, more wellness programs over the time. We've built a pretty good relationship I had originally, but also with the Cancer Council to be able to, run some more programs in association with them. So probably the only things that we weren't really able to continue was the massage and some of the counselling services, and we would have done those, but the counsellors at the time decided that they were being there for 8 or 9 years as volunteers, so they sort of left when the cancer care closed. So it certainly, it is, and I felt that it just fitted perfectly with the philosophy of Eastwood, with the support. So yeah, it was very dear to my heart. So I was, not that I wanted them to wind up, but I was very happy to have been able to take over the mantle of them.
Councillor Turnbull.
Thank you, Mayor. Could you refresh my memory, please, and probably everybody else's, about the funding from Burnside Council? Is that locked in for 3 years, the 65,000?
It was a 4 year.
4 years.
Yeah, it was
how far are we through?
Is this the third? Yeah, this is the third year.
So
yes.
after the 4th year, will you be coming back to ask for some more for your wonderful programs?
I
hope so.
yes.
You will.
Yes, I expect so.
Terrific, thank you.
Councillor Dawes.
So my third and fourth questions, and I have a fifth one later. There are 7 different organisations from which you gather grants, which is fabulous. But there was one which is strange because you have to give back, who was it, Be Connected, $35,000. Can you just explain why you have to give back half of it?
No, so the way that the Be Connected program runs, there's a lot of our grant programs run from on a financial year basis, whereas the Be Connected programs actually run on a rolling period of time. So they're 12-month grants, but they don't necessarily come on the 1st of July. So the reason that was, so it wasn't given back.
I wasn't given back. Okay.
No, it was carried forward into this current financial year because the actual, I think we received it, beginning of October or beginning of November. So hence that's why it was brought forward into, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
My fourth question, I've noticed that your wages are 7% down, which is very unusual. What was the reason for that? Have you taken a pay cut or something?
No, we actually lost a couple of staff members.
Oh, okay.
And I've gained staff members that have been able to sort of do different roles. So at this point in time, but we also lost some funding for our adult community education program, which so I sort of had to, so it's just been a bit of a juggle, yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
That's it?
My last question for you. Do you continue to work closely with the Community Connections team here to ensure there's not much duplication to what you do, to what happens at council?
Look, we probably, I don't quite know where this year has gone actually, so I probably haven't worked quite as closely with, you know, your Community Connections staff, but overall there's actually not a lot of duplication.
Right.
You know, I think probably the main thing that we do that, that your community centres do is like Strength for Life, and that's pretty much, as far as I know, you know, the real, that's about the only duplication that I'm aware of.
Well, look, thank you so much for coming in, Leanne. It's always a pleasure to hear from you and to see you, and I know that as you said, the doors are always open. Thank you. We're going to move on now. I know, but you both got your names in after I had completed, so we do need to move on with the meeting. So if you've got questions, give Leanne a call by all means, all right? And I know that she will answer the phone. Thank you, Leanne. Right, now we move on to petitions, and I seek a mover to move the petition that we've received from Amber Woods regarding resurfacing and driveway. Councillor Jennings, you're moving it.
Happy to move.
And Councillor Cornish, seconding. All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Thank you. Now I'll go through the reports. Let me know if you wish to withdraw them. Volunteers Policy Review. Councillor Turnbull, are you withdrawing it for debate?
Yes, please.
Library Services Policy Review. Seek a mover. Thank you, Councillor Cornish. Seconded by Councillor Turnbull. All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Road and Traffic Management Policy Review. Councillor Wilkins.
Yes.
You're withdrawing.
Withdraw.
I'm assuming so. Synthetic Turf Reduction Program. Councillor Turnbull, can you turn your mic off, please, Councillor Wilkins? Mandatory and discretionary rate rebates. I seek a mover. Councillor Jennings.
Happy to move.
Seconder. I need a seconder. Councillor Turnbull.
Yes.
All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee. I seek a mover. Councillor Cornish. Seconder. Councillor Turnbull. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Finance End of the Month Report. Councillor Davey, you're withdrawing.
Thank you.
Era Water Audit Committee appointment. I seek a mover. Councillor Davey, are you withdrawing or
No, I'm
moving?
happy to move.
All right, thank you, Councillor Davey. Seconded by Councillor Harvey. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Mayor's Activity Report. I seek a mover. Councillor Cornish. Councillor Harvey, you're seconding?
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Chief Executive Officer's Report. Councillor Turnbull, you wish to withdraw it?
Withdraw, thank you.
All right, so we shall move back now to Councillor Turnbull, 11.1 Volunteers Policy Review.
I basically just withdrew it because I was very pleased to see in the Volunteers Policy Review that on page 36, 23B, emphasis on accessible volunteering opportunities and equitable participation, and 25A, 2, inclusion for people of all abilities, which links with our disability and inclusion policy. Can you please walk us through the process for people with disabilities wishing to volunteer?
Through the Mayor. So like with any volunteering is very similar onboarding process to an employee of staff. So when we have like a disclosure process where a volunteer voluntarily identifies their disability, and we work with them to address their accessibility needs for whatever tasks they have put their hands up to volunteer for.
Is there a committee to access their abilities for inclusion? For example,
Sorry, what was
committee,
that?
or is there a committee, or who susses them out to see what?
Oh, staff.
Yeah,
Yes.
staff.
Yes,
Staff
that's
as-
the role of the volunteer coordinator. That is their role, to work with that volunteer to address their accessibility needs. Not every role will be suitable for everybody.
That's right.
So what we want to do is, through that assessment and onboarding process, get an understanding of their disability or accessibility needs to see if we have things in place to assist them, or it could be simply, I'm sorry, we can't give you that volunteering opportunity because it doesn't meet your needs or your accessibility requirements.
Right, that's basically all I wanted to ask you. Thank you.
Councillor Dawes.
I will second and I'll reserve my right.
Councillor Davey.
Thank you. Thank you for a great review and for updating the policies and amalgamating them. And it shines a light on all the work we do and the huge involvement. The one area that I'm a bit concerned about is that we only have 8% of our volunteers who are involved in conservation work. And I just wondered how, I mean, it's got its own particular needs and specialties, I guess. I just wondered if you've got any ideas how we can increase that pool of volunteers and get more programs in our conservation and environmental areas. Thanks.
Sure. The two-pronged approach, one through the annual business and plan and budget process this year. There was a budget bid to expand that program. Unfortunately, that budget wasn't allocated to the program, so we weren't able to expand that volunteer program around the conservation management volunteers. The second prong approach is through our youth action plan. We've seen a real movement in our young people to volunteer more in the environment space. It's a passion of theirs. And so with Council recently adopting that plan, we are exploring some opportunities for our youth in particular to be involved in that space.
Councillor Wilkins.
Thank you, Your Mayor. Thank you, Belinda. I recently, in fact Sunday morning, actually with the Australian Garden History Society and the Rhododendron Society, we walked up in Michael Perry Reserve with Mark Ellis. And I have to say, I am blown away with the work that we've done there over the years. And having noticed the memorial to Mr. Bills in that particular space as well, it's a credit to all the work that's been done by those before us, Andrew Compton and Mark Ellis. I want to know how we're going to get more qualified people in that team to assist Mark as a volunteer now, not as a manager, to actually continue the work on that particular site. Is there budget for that work? How are we going about continuing the upkeep and the improvements to that whole reserve?
Through the Mayor, that's probably a question that deserves a response from Mr. Kant, who looks after that team. So are you able to do that?
So that position's just about to be recruited for. However, with respect to further qualified staff members within that team, that would be subject to budgetary approvals. So subject to one of the responses that you received earlier on, we submitted a budget bid earlier this year, but we're in budget repair, so we will try again next year.
Further question, if I may. What about recruiting volunteers with those the expertise in environmental works. Could we not work on that?
Through the Mayor, to add to that, as Belinda said, absolutely, but it would require volunteer supervision and an appropriate programme to be set up, which requires additional funding and budgets, which we will put to Council next financial year.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, I'm going back to No, you've got a question. All right, just got in. Councillor Dawes.
No,
Oh, no, a second. Sorry, yes, you wanted to speak.
I don't know if you noticed, I go to the volunteer function every year at the Regal, and I'm always surprised by this stat. It's in the report that 70% are Burnside residents.
Yes.
And 30% come from outside Burnside. So I think Leanne would be even surprised by that. So that is how good our volunteer program is. And when I sit next to people, I always ask, what ward do you live in? And I get, oh no, we don't live in Burnside. Why do you volunteer? And it's because it's a very good program and I have friends and so forth. So I think that's a big tick for us. So that's the point I just want to make. Thank you.
Now I'll go back to Councillor Turnbull. I just wanted to say thank you to the volunteers on behalf from the Mayor. I think the volunteers are doing an absolutely amazing job, and I also attend those volunteer events, the one at the end of the year, the one at the beginning of the year, and it's always a pleasure to sit with different people. And again, ask them, why do you do it? And they do it because some of the same reasons that Leanne talked about earlier, about being together, about community, about not being alone, not being isolated, and learning new skills. So thank you very much for everything that you do, and all the staff and the volunteers. I'm always saddened when I have to sign letters to say thank you because they're giving it up. I know that we've always got a backup, so thank you very much. And I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion against? Carried. Thank you. Next one is Councillor Wilkins, the Road Traffic Management Review, page 90.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the staff for all the work they have done over the years, culminating in this particular report. And I would like to move the recommendation that Council adopts the road and traffic management policy as presented in attachment 2 to report 25-420. Staff have obviously listened to all of us over the years, re the issues that we've all encountered with traffic in our particular wards. I've always banged on about Eastwood and being heritage, being narrow streets, being parking, and hey presto, finally we're getting somewhere. It's only taken quite a few years. So all those things about safety, efficiency, accessibility, speed limit is the big thing at the moment. Even today, I sent forward an email that I received from a resident who is actually harking on about everything that has been mentioned in here. It's the parking, it's the driveway and gutter crossing in Eastwood and in other inner suburban councils. When we have a plan for a renovation or a new build, as we did have in John Street, Eastwood, we should not be allowing double driveway over the gutters in the suburbs, because we lose one on-street parking, whereas people have this two-lane driveway into their house in everybody else's single crossing. No, look at the policy. Hoarding, we have one hoarder in Eastwood. I'll say no more. We need to clean up somebody's backyard. And I thank all the council members who have actually added their particular input into this new policy. So I say nothing more than let's get on with it. It's only been going on for years. It's getting to the point where it's crunch time. So I very much would like to move the adoption of this report.
Councillor Davey, are you seconding?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Are you speaking now or withholding?
Oh, sorry.
No, sorry, Councillor Wilkins hadn't turned her mic off. Now you're fine.
Right, thank you. Yes, thank you. I'm very happy to second this. There's a huge amount of work involved in this review. So well done to the staff and for taking on all my comments. I think it's great that we've beefed up the link and the importance of the environmental effects of all of the traffic and parking and the issues that Councillor Wilkins has raised about losing street parking, parking space, as well as our street trees with the double driveways. So I hope that we've got that under control and that's fully implemented now with the planning people. Does that mean that we have no more double driveways now, or is it only in particularly the suburbs like Eastwood and Beulah Park, which are particularly challenged, or is that a general policy that we are implementing?
Through the Mayor, I wouldn't want to say that we don't have any. When we receive a 221 for an existing property that is requesting a second driveway, and there's 4 or 5 different bits of criteria within that policy that we have to consider, and the vast majority of those are definitely declined due to not meeting the criteria. I can't recall the last time that something was accepted. I can certainly recall a few times when they've been refused because I'm usually out there meeting with them myself.
And one final question, which was the subject of a recent petition and council resolution, is the Glyde Street traffic issues. Are we progressing those to the stage where we've consulted with the residents and are able to, and getting feedback from them?
Through the Mayor, I'll take that on notice to give you the exact details. However, I understand that the traffic count in the survey is happening just now. Once that's done, the traffic team will consider it and then we'll consult with the community, the residents on street, before we bring it back to council.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Wilkins, do you wish to sum up?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, well, I was waiting for a call, but I'm sorry, members, I'm going to vote against this motion just purely from the fact that a few of my residents have raised some matters that they would like included. I'd prepared an alternative motion for seeking that we endorse this to go out to consultation with the community and get some of their feedback through our normalengage.com. I think it's important that we probably do that with our road and traffic management. You know, it's a safety policy every now and then. You know, this policy has been enacted since 2013, so I will vote this down, but just purely from the fact that some of my residents, and you never know, some of your residents might want to make comment on particular matters of this policy, and rather than me trying to cobble together the changes that they want in a few days and incorporate it here in the chamber, we have a process in place where we've got engage.burnside. We can put it up there and seek feedback from the community about the changes and about the policy. So I will put that I am voting against that for that reason. Thank you.
Last chance. Councillor Davey, have you got a question?
I just have a question. Councillor Cornish raises a good point, but could you give us an idea of what some of the issues are? Sorry. Yes, because I've raised a whole lot of mine in the comment phase that we had when we were able to give comments. So,
So now we move on to Councillor Dawes.
Yes, I probably can help here with Councillor Cornish because it's about paragraph 14 on page 97. So it's not a major part of the overall policy. It's actually one particular part, and these are about laneways and properties on the corner, which is probably going to also affect Eastwood, if I can think, and also Beulah Park. But my question really is to whether we can just concentrate not the whole policy, but this particular one on laneways and safety, or please tell me, I just don't want to go all public where we've got so much information already and most people in this room would agree with 99% of it.
Through the Mayor, and for the benefit of all other council members, I think that's a fair assessment, Councillor Dawes. I believe some of the issues raised are particularly about a particular incident, which we have referred to at a higher level within the report between paragraphs 11 and 15. If this council is of a mind to consult particularly on this policy review, which you don't have to do, we've covered, I believe, the concerns of the residents within there, and we'll provide a council the information relevant, but you're certainly entitled to consult with the community on any policy. I would recommend that you consult on the whole policy and not just a particular element in it, because it will be open to the entire city to provide a response to, and they may have an interest wider than just that matter.
Right, I shall go back now to Councillor Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just simply suggest that residents, all residents, after they've looked at this policy and they've read the latest focus, go on to engage Burnside, and they have the opportunity to put forward their concerns there or scan the QR code, which I'm directing residents in my ward to do that, because everybody is pissed off with traffic run through, parking problems. We need to actually, times have moved on since 2003 when I first came onto council and was expressing my concerns about Eastwood traffic, parking, etc. So here we are in 2025, we finally have a policy that we can address our concerns to. So I just direct everybody to engage Burnside and state your concerns or your support, and let's get on with it. Thank you.
I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. Now we will move to Councillor Turnbull, the Synthetic Turf Reduction Program, page 143.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move an alternate motion, please. I'm just checking that's... No, it's not.
No, that's not the...
That's the original.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming, yeah, thank you.
It's coming, just wait on a few more minutes.
Thank you, yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
Thank you for submitting it in advance.
So, alternate motion, number one, declares the policy position that synthetic turf is environmentally detrimental and should be removed from council-owned property where practicable, requires that any decisions to replace or install synthetic turf at any council-owned sporting or community facility must be formally approved by council following a recommendation from the CEO. And this is varied from the original one. Synthetic turf must not be replaced on any council-maintained traffic infrastructures, e.g. median strips and roundabouts, unless there's no other option available, where it must be formally approved by council following a recommendation from the CEO. Number three, rights to the state government advocating the synthetic turf. I think you can read that one. Number four, commences the 5-year program to remove synthetic turf from all council verges with an annual allocation of approximately 40,000, subject to the 2026-27 annual business plan and budget process. And the rest of it, the notes there, the other change that was being made was we're saying that number 2B, the word should, we should do it, be replaced by must. 2B. Yeah, who live in there. Hang on. 2B. 2B. Yeah, we changed. Now, this was a joint effort between Councillor Dawes and myself to make those two changes. We figured it was fairer that the council takes onus as well, following the recommendation from the CEO. Our community is becoming increasingly aware of the impacts of climate change. Burnside Council has been very proactive in many ways and for many years. Our council is implementing comprehensive policies that include sustainability, biodiversity, controlled rubbish removal, just to name a few. Removing synthetic turf would be a strategy to help mitigate the effects of the increasing heating of our ground surfaces. Environmentally, synthetic turf is detrimental to the ground. as it is a big absorber and retainer of heat and it generates very high surface temperatures. You may recollect the heat map which I showed you when this topic was first discussed. It showed the surface temperature of the synthetic grass playing field at Kensington Gardens as 38.2 degrees, while the adjacent grass playing field was 24.8 degrees. So any artificial grass surface can contribute unduly to the warming of our city. Artificial turf breaks down under UV and generates multiple microplastic particles that are not biodegradable. These include environmentally harmful heavy metals, polyaromatic hydrocarbons and volatile organic compounds. Fish have been found with little tiny bits in them from this, so it's actually gone into the sea as well, and we all know what's happening there at the moment. Soil also becomes compacted and has to be remediated. Limited recyclability is another problem. So this report outlines the detrimental effects of synthetic turf. And yes, it looks good for a while and doesn't need water, but the overall effect on the environment is bad. Council has drafted a 5-year plan to replace existing synthetic turf on verges which had been installed before the current ban. Council will work with the owner and the adjacent homeowners to replace with understory shrubs and ground covers or lawn. So good for the street trees and subsequently wildlife and birds. Now we come to the sporting clubs which use synthetic turf. Our own Kensington Gardens Reserve has 2 bowling greens that are synthetic turf. The 2 installations in 2016 and 22 were both supported by large loans from council. So when the time comes for replacement, it'll have to be a council decision and on the recommendation of the CEO. Other sporting clubs use synthetic turf for practice pitches. Once again, negotiation with the council will be needed. Page 145 lists the sporting clubs with synthetic turf, and the word negotiators is imperative here. Thank you.
I seek a seconder. Councillor Jennings? Right. Do you wish to speak now or withhold? Right. Next is Councillor Dawes. Councillor Turnbull, can you turn your mic off?
I'm going to start with a question. So I go on Monday down Greenhill Road and I see that synthetic grass all the way down to, how far does it go? Fullerton Road, not point on as far as road. But there's one section which has been paved, which is about Linden Park, near Councillor Jones and Councillor Hubel's ward. And I don't know, why was that, can you tell me how that became paved and yet the rest of it is still all synthetic grass? So the question.
Synthetic rubber, because it doesn't look like grass.
Through the Mayor, I think we're talking about state infrastructure, so I would probably need to get the information from there. We believe that there may have been an upgrade to the crossing at some point, which may have resulted in that being replaced, but that's just an assumption.
Councillor Davey.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Turnbull, for your motion, and to the staff for all of the work they've done on this subject. We really do have to make a stand to start to remove all the synthetic turf that's creeping into our streetscapes and in little parts of our parks. It's, for all the reasons that have been outlined, it's quite detrimental. You can understand why people put it in. It's an easy fix. It looks lovely for, a couple of months. People can sweep it easily or blow leaves off it, and it just finishes things off. But it is ghastly in terms of all the reasons that Councillor Turnbull's outlined and the points that have been made in the report. And the other thing is we just don't want to encourage it. Environmentally, for disposal, I think it all goes into landfill. I don't think there's any way we can recycle it. So we just don't want to be encouraging it in Burnside. So thank you for this initiative, and I support it fully.
Councillor Wilkins.
Yes, I do support it, but I note that Dipty from Fullerton Road to Portrush Road have synthetic turf down there, and it's always been there. So we could get rid of that. But I also want to know that we would have some reassurance or some assurance that if you're going to put turf down, i.e. green turf, and is it going to be looked after? Is it going to be mown? Because you've only had to look at Portrush Road up to Glen Osmond over the last month to see the weeds growing alongside in the verge and also on the island in the separation of the Portrush Road. So we'd need an increased budget for maintenance, but that's Dipty once again. And look what Dipty did to the roundabout at Burnside. Not fast in renewing their infrastructure that they have destroyed. So get on to Dipty, I say, and get them to remove it and replace it and look after it.
Councillor Dawes.
I was pleased on that roundabout. There was some...
People standing in the middle?
No. I think they're going to do something. So I think
heavens above.
I think that letter from the CEO may have worked, Councillor Davey. Now, a couple of things. The officer's recommendation talked about a decision by the CEO, and we're saying no, a recommendation from the CEO to be approved by council. Now, why do we put that forward? I think it's very important. We're not saying the CEO is not the right person and doesn't know what she's on about, or the acting CEO doesn't know what he's on about. What the point here is that in paragraph 23, we talk about strategic oversight. And that's what this council is all about, strategic oversight. So because of that reason, I think we should take the pressure on the CEO to make a call on synthetic grass and make it our responsibility, our authority, because that's what we're on about. We are very, very strong about removing synthetic grass. So that was the reason why we've changed those words. The second point, and this is more about what Councillor Turnbull was saying, and I just can't believe it, that in paragraph 7, I'm sure that Dr. Phil was responsible for this, but there was a difference of 44 degrees between a synthetic surface and what was next door to it in Dulwich, in Councillor Cornish's area. So that, to me, just says that we've got to do something about this. We really do, and we've got to be proactive. Thank you.
Councillor Jennings.
Thank you very much. I will be supporting this, although I have a question and a sort of insurance about replacing practice cricket nets with grass, because when you've got kids and they've got bowling down as quick as they can, it is very unpredictable. So I just feel there does it become a insurance issue if somebody is injured by a ball that doesn't go where it's supposed to go, or accidentally. Thank you.
Councillor Cornish. Oh, sorry, yeah.
Sorry, ma'am. I can respond to that for the council's benefit. That would be one of those situations that would come to council for consideration, and there would be a full report that would consider the risk, the justification, whether there's alternates, and the CEO would make a recommendation to council to follow there. There may be situations where, as the report requires, that there is no alternate other than not to allow the use, but that would all be provided to council for consideration.
Thank you.
Councillor Cornish.
Just wondering if I'm just a little slightly concerned about the cost of the replacement program, and wondered whether or not is there an opportunity to lengthen it, or at some point residents would probably want to replace or get rid of it because it will smell like dog pee or possum pee out on the curb or the verge. Is there a possibility where it could be spread out over a longer period of time rather than costing the ratepayers 0.1% of rates, and rather than making a replacement program? Sorry, that's a really long-winded question.
Through the mayor, absolutely. We've put a recommended 5-year programme up for Council's consideration. We think that's a reasonable, considering the budget requirements and the time to enact it. However, this resolution itself is only really in principle to proceed with the programme. It sets a policy position. Each year will still be subject to considering through the annual business plan and budget process. So if Council believes one year that we shouldn't be doing 40,000, we could do 20,000. We will adjust the programme accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Wilkins?
Oh, could I just make a comment?
No, you've spoken.
No. Therefore, can I
Question?
ask a question for
You
the
can
staff
ask a
member?
question.
Have you thought about suggesting to Sophie Thompson that she comes along and does a reading with her handbag thermometer that she always carries around and take a reading on some of these and get promoted? Thank you.
No, we hadn't, and now we have. Thank you.
Now, Councillor Jennings, do you wish to speak, or you sort of asked a question, but it was almost a speech? Yes, what I thought it was too. Right, thank you. Then I will go back to Councillor Turnbull, who moved the motion.
Thank you, everyone, for your comments. I'd really like to commend the Environment and Place team for such a thorough report. Thank you, Mr Brennan. Thank you, Dr Roatman. So I ask you for your support here for this one, so that the estimated 120 verges with synthetic turf and various other council-owned land can be remediated over the next 5 years. And that's actually only 24 verges a year. Should be doable, shouldn't it? Really. But by supporting this motion, we will be supporting the cornerstone of Burnside's council's environmental policy, and that is the Environmental Sustainability Strategy, which was 2024 to 2028. And just answering about the sporting clubs that Councillor Jennings brought up, I did mention negotiation, and that's the big word here for sporting clubs. They are not expected to rip up their bowling green, so I hope nobody gets phone calls from irate bowlers, because we don't expect them to do it. But when they come up for redoing, which they will after about 10 years, I think it is, then that will be a council decision. So I do hope you support this one. Thank you.
All in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Now we move to item 11.7, page 190, Councillor Davey.
Thank you. I move in accordance with the recommendation that Council receives the Finance End-of-Month Report for August 2025. And I just had a couple of questions, if I may. One is regarding operating projects on page 197. It's regarding the wheel park feasibility study. And I just wondered, I know that we're at the stage of letting tenders, so I wonder if we've completed that. Have we got someone who's doing the project? And when does it start, please?
Through the Mayor, not yet. We are still going through the tender process. We, as often happens in tenders, once the initial tenders are put in, there's subsequent questions and negotiations that happens before the final consultant is selected. So we're still going through that process. We're hoping to have that process finalised within probably by the end of this month, and then we'll provide an update to Council.
Thank you. The other one is operating projects supporting the health of trees. And if you could refresh our memory of what we're doing there and what we've budgeted for that, please. Is that the one where we're removing paving and asphalt around some of our big trees?
Through the Mayor, I'll have to take that one on notice to provide you the full details. I think there was 3 in total projects that were supported. One was the investigation into how do we support the large trees surrounded by impervious surfaces. One was the tree planting trial up at Stonyfell. And that, is that a separate one? Sorry. There was a few different ones all combined in the budget. To give you an accurate answer, I'd prefer to take that on notice, and we'll bring that back.
Thank you. And if I may, one more question.
Yes.
Thank you. The other one is the dashboard on page 195. The rates in arrears and the progress with our clawing back or getting the rates that we're owed. I'm sorry if I don't use the right words, and how we're going in claiming back those rates, and whether we're into selling properties and up to that sort of recovery stage. Thanks.
Through the Mayor, in July, Council resolved to pursue 5 properties. I'm pleased to report, and it's included in the detail of the report, 2 have been paid out in full, which is the outcome we're hoping for. The other 3 were at the stage where we've written to mortgagees, so the banks, to see whether they'd consider paying out the debt, and we're awaiting a response on those letters. The next stage will be bringing it back to, or provide some information to council as to moving to that sales sort of process beyond that.
So that's 3 out. Councillor Jennings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would, Councillor Davey beat me to it. I'd like to congratulate you on moving this forward from the July meeting of getting the outstanding rates repaid. Very good. Thank you.
Right, now I think, unless you've got,
I've just
you've
got
another
one
question?
more quick question, sorry. I forgot to ask when I was asking about the feasibility study. What's the status of the pump track? And because I thought that once the feasibility study got underway, we were going to put the pump track on the market. But I see it's being moved around into there's a new schedule for it to be moved around. And I just wondered, when are we going to sell the pump track?
Through the Mayor, we're actually in negotiations with a couple of parties with respect to the pump track just now. It's not a new schedule, it's the existing schedule just being repeated just now with the pump track moving around. We found that it is most beneficial to sell the pump track while it's set up and in operation, so people can actually see it and see the condition of it. But we are restricted by a council resolution that says it can be no longer than 3 months in any location. So while we're going through that process, and once we have further information to share and we have actually got something a little bit more concrete, we'll certainly provide that to council. The resolution itself said that it will be sold this financial year, not in advance of the actual feasibility study.
Thank you. Before I see Councillor Cornish speak, I haven't got a seconder.
That's what I was just going to do.
That's what you're about to do?
Just
Thank
second
you.
the motion, no need to speak.
Do you wish to speak?
No.
All right, thank you. You've formally now done that. Is there anyone else wishes to speak? I will go back to Councillor Davey. Put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Last but not least, Councillor Turnbull, the Chief Executive's report, page 223.
Thank you. I'd like to move an alternate motion. It should come up. We're adding number 4. Right, so first, number 1, 2 and 3 are as in your, on your screen. Number 4, the new one, requests the Chair of the Burnside Retirement Services Incorporated Board, Mr Levi Mitchell, to attend the Council meeting on 21st of October 2025 to provide an update on the Board's activities and to discuss the review of the BRSI rules. Now, I put that one in because on the 28th of January this year, Council moved a resolution that Council would, in consultation with Council members and the BRSI Board, commence review of the rules with the inclusion of 6-month reports to the Council. Well, we're actually in September, end of September now. We haven't had any reports yet. Also, support for residents to participate in a residents' committee, and so far they haven't had anything. And number 3, Council members are able to attend and observe the AGM of the BRSI if they want to. Now, that resolution was passed on the 28th of January, and we're still waiting. A report was scheduled for April 2025, but it didn't happen. Information came yesterday that BRSI, hopefully the Chair, though that's not stated, will attend the Council meeting next month. So this motion is to ensure that this actually happens. One wonders how they can produce 2 reports for this year when the first report is not presented till late October. I think there needs to be clarity as to the relationship between the Burnside Council and the BRSI. So I ask that you support this formal request, as I'm sure we're all advocates for ensuring transparency and accountability for the BRSI's operations. Thank you.
I seek a seconder. Councillor Jennings.
I'll happily second this one.
All right. Councillor Harvey. Councillor Turnbull, will you turn your microphone off, please?
I was just seconding.
Oh, okay. So, do you wish to speak? No. Councillor Davey.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Turnbull, for your amendment or addition to the well, it's an amendment. I think that's very good. I think we are all concerned, just reiterating all that you've just said, we are concerned that, well, I certainly am, that BRSI don't seem to be taking their responsibilities to heart in terms of advising, keeping council informed and working with us. I know they've met with the CEO, but the fact remains that we're all very clear and very keen to hear from Mr Mitchell, to be able to ask questions, and to know that everything's working well at BRSI, because we are getting information from time to time from the resident body that there are some concerns. So it will be really helpful to have them get their act together and actually come here and meet with us. We have all our other regional subsidiaries, people like Leanne, willingly come here and tell us what they're doing and how they're supporting our community in their particular area. But for some reason, BRSI are reluctant to do this. The other, I just have a couple of questions, but I'll ask those later when other people have a chance to speak.
I was going to say it's probably better for you to go on with the questions and then I'll move to Councillor Cornish, but Councillor Cornish, you
just
speak.
have a question, because my understanding is that rules have not been updated to require them to come here 6 monthly yet. So we have not approved that yet. So it's not technically a requirement. I'm happy to support the motion and request that they come along and give us an update of how they're going. That's fine, but it's not actually a rule, right? Yet.
You are actually correct. Be careful of accusations that you might make.
Through the Mayor, that is correct. One other correction as well is they're technically not a regional subsidiary. They're a separate entity under the Incorporations Act.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? You had said you had some more questions, Councillor Davey.
That's right, thank you. I stand corrected, thank you, Mr Acting CEO, but they're still accountable to Council, and while the rules haven't been changed, there are other issues, and I perhaps didn't emphasise that enough, there are other issues at BRSI that we are interested in ensuring are being managed well, that the whole area is being managed well. The other question I have is in regards to my aged care and what the impact will be on the changes that were originally mooted for November, but which the federal government has brought forward with some additional funding. And I just wondered if that has any impact on our programs at Burnside and our community at all. Thank you.
Through the Mayor, so just to clarify your question, that's in relation to Burnside or in relation to the BRSI model?
Sorry, it's separate, totally separate from BRSI. It's the aged care program. It's mentioned on... It's all the home support that we give our aged community and pension community. And I just wondered if we are having to amend our programs to compensate for that, or whether because we were working, everything was working to a November start date, but the federal government has offered funding and some more packages.
Through the mayor,
bring it
yes,
through.
I understand what you're
Sorry,
on about. Now, yes, there was, and Mr. Cooper can correct me if I'm wrong, but the funding was extended.
Right.
Through the mayor, if I could just follow on from that. You're absolutely correct, Councillor Davey, that funding has been announced, but it's completely different from our Commonwealth Home Support funding, so there's no impact on the services that Burnside currently provide. Thank you.
Councillor Cord.
Thank you, Worship. I will speak to this motion. I'm fully supportive of it and can, well, wish Antonetta all the best with her nomination. Certainly reviewing a resume, it's, wow. It's a lot of years in records management and I hopefully well suited to the position. So I do wish that nomination well.
Councillor Davey.
Just another quick question. It's about, I just actually want to compliment Eastern Health Authority for their fantastic dashboard on page 237, 4 pages of really terrific, succinct information about what they're doing and the huge volumes of work that they undertake for our community right across the board. So it's a big plus. I haven't seen that one before, so I assume this is a new dashboard. Is it a new dashboard?
To go back to Councillor Turnbull to sum up that.
I'll just ask that you support this formal request for BRSI to address the meeting for clarity and transparency, and note the other 3, 1, 2 and 3 as well. Thank you.
All those in favour? Against? Motion's. Now you have received already the answers to the questions on notice. The next is the motion on notice, item number 13. Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Mayor. I move with the recommendation of 13.1, and residents have placed their trust in ward councillors. Including them shows respect for that democratic choice and ensures community voices are heard through their elected members. Councillors can help clarify community concerns during meetings and are best positioned to follow up with residents afterwards. This strengthens accountability. Inclusion fosters unity. We need the Mayor and councillors working together more than ever. We can generally only find out about what is additionally happening in our wards through the Mayor's report. A recent example of this is the Norwood International High School musical play. Being an old scholar, I would have really liked to have known about this to show my support and interest, and I would have enjoyed attending this function had I have known about this previously and not read it after the fact. I urge the Mayor and councillors to consider the value of partnership. Leadership is not about standing alone, but about standing together, including ward councillors where practicable in community meetings or gatherings will only strengthen our collective efforts and bring about the change our community deserves. Let us lead with unity, transparency and respect. I would also like to see some more communication on engagements where elected members are invited but unable to attend due to work commitments. For example, the Burnside Village tour, which unfortunately I was unable to attend. However, would have liked to have known what was said, information on where more shops, when more shops are opening, etc., and how the new edition has actually been received by the public. I have actually been asked these questions as well by members of my own community. I believe there is a lot more we can learn about our wards by being included in meetings where practicable. I hope you support this motion. Thank you.
I seek a second. Councillor Turnbull, do you wish to speak now?
No, hold, reserve.
Have your hand up, Councillor Wilkins, or did you take it down?
Yes, I did, because I didn't want the motion to lapse, quite frankly. I think it is important that, and I have attended a function for the mayor when she couldn't go, but I think it is important that we know where things are on in our ward. If I can't go, then I think it's really important that we do actually work together. And if there's something on in Eastwood, Glenunga, I want to know about it. Usually I do, but sometimes I may not. So it would be useful to know. I couldn't, like Joe, I could not, Councillor Harvey, I couldn't attend the meeting at the new Burnside Village, but I actually went to lunch last week with the CEO and the member of the family of Pass Bailey to hear all about Pass Bailey opening very soon, like about now, and hear the history of the family of Pass Bailey, which is opening in Burnside, and Nick was very enthusiastic about this opportunity. Not that I can afford Pass Bailey pearls, but there might be a lot of people in this ward that can. But fantastic family story, like we have lots in South Australia, and it is a great addition to the village, I tell you. It will be a destination place like no other, and that's why they're there. Thank you.
Councillor Dawes?
Yes, I was listening very carefully to what Councillor Harvey was saying, because I think there are occasions where there are events. Like I noticed in the CEO report that the CEO met with the Morialta State candidate about McGill traffic concerns. And so, well, that could be an example of the ward councillors also attending. Perhaps that wasn't, it was a last minute thing, I'm not sure. But there are occasions, I would like the Mayor to comment here too, that where she's invited to open something, you know, and it doesn't matter whose ward it is, you know, is the invitation only to the Mayor, or can she invite councillors as well? I think there was one for ERA where I think Councillor Cornish attended and Councillor Henschke attended with the Mayor. Yeah, so I wouldn't, if you don't mind, Mayor, if I could ask you that question, is it that when you get invited, is it like as only you can attend, or is it possible that we can make it occur for the future?
Generally, invitations come to the Mayor. If I am given the opportunity to share that invite with others, I have done and will do. But that is not my role to go turn around and say to them, can I please invite extra people? Because that's not, that's rude, yes. Councillor Davey.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Harvey, for your motion. I think people have articulated already there are times when it would be good if the ward councillors could be involved in functions and ceremonies or occasions within their ward, and especially the example of that Councillor Dawes made about the traffic issues, meeting with a local MP or local candidate for the elections. So I think this is a really good motion, and I just hope that we can take some action in this regard, along with the constraints that I think the Mayor's articulated, but I think we would all benefit from this for the reasons that have been outlined. So I hope you'll support it.
Councillor Cornish.
I have a slight amendment which might be taken on as a variation. I have sent it through, so hopefully it might come up on the screen. Just to let people know, I was having difficulty with the word events, and I've just put the word community in front of it to make it a bit more clear in terms of what we're talking. And speaking about what we were talking about today, or talking about earlier, I think there is the opportunity where ward councillors might not be able to go to something, and we could send the Mayor. So I've put before where practicable, a comma, vice versa. So we can invite the mayor along to things that we think in our ward she should be coming along to, and the same thing. So she can invite us along. So it meets all of the other, collaboration between the mayor and ward councillors, being inclusive and representative, strengthening our relationships, and ensuring the concerns and issues are being raised. So they're just two minor amendments that I'm putting up, but Councillor Harvey might choose to take them on as a variation.
Is that acceptable to Councillor Harvey?
I'm sorry, what was actually changed? I missed vice versa.
So community events in the first line, so find notice of community events instead of just events. And then or vice versa, so we can do it both ways.
Mover says yes.
All right, so seconder, Councillor Turnbull, are you happy with those slight alterations?
I'll second that, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? All right, then I shall go back to Councillor Hart.
Thank you, everybody, for your input. I understand that there are invites only to the mayor, and of course respect that. The key words here are where practicable, and thank you, Councillor Cornish, for that slight amendment. So it's all about inclusion where possible. So I hope you will support this. Thank you.
I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. We do have some urgent business that we need to deal with at item number 14. It is subject to the leave of the meeting. Councillor Harvey would like to make a statement. I need an indication from all of you if you are willing to hear that statement, please. We needed to be paying attention. We have got an urgent business at item 14, and it needs the subject to the leave of the meeting. Councillor Harvey wishes to make a statement, and so therefore I'm asking for you to indicate if you're willing to listen, to allow her to speak. All right, thank you. We have sufficient numbers, so you can speak now. Wait a minute. That's it. That's right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I seek leave of the meeting to make an apology after being reported to the Ombudsman for a breach in confidentiality regarding the cost of the ethos report. At the June 17th council meeting, I gave a speech regarding the continued disappointing behaviour in council. During this speech, I mentioned the cost of the ethos report. In mentioning this cost, I did not believe this was confidential. I would not have mentioned the cost by putting myself in harm's way of potentially being reported to the Ombudsman for a breach of confidentiality had I thought it was confidential. Someone reported me to the Ombudsman for a breach of confidentiality, which, as it turned out, was only for a mere hour or so. I did not disclose any content or recommendations in the ethos report itself. A mere hour or so later, this was voted down in confidence and not supported to be actually retained in confidence. Even after it was released to the public, someone felt the need to report me to the Ombudsman. So I apologise for that mere hour or so of inadvertently breaching confidentiality of the cost of the ethos report. Having been challenged 2 years ago during a council meeting for supposedly breaching confidential information, I believed elected members would be advised of any potential breach at the time. I had, however, on this occasion 2 years ago, not breached confidentiality at all, which was confirmed by governance. On this occasion now, at the June council meeting, I was not challenged or made aware that I had actually breached confidentiality, so therefore I did not believe I had. Had this been brought to my attention at the time, I would have apologised, and therefore perhaps the Ombudsman would have accepted my apology at the time. Going forward, I would hope that elected members would be notified at the time if they are breaching any confidentiality or about to breach confidentiality. By doing so, elected members can be afforded the courtesy and the opportunity to apologise at the time. I would like to thank the Ombudsman for their findings, and I quote from the Ombudsman, for recognising that no detriment occurred due to the CEO report being voted out of confidence. Therefore, it made for an early resolution, therefore avoiding a lengthy and formal investigation, end quote. I hope whoever felt the need to report me to the Ombudsman with this vindictive complaint is now satisfied with my apology, knowing they have taken up valuable time, effort and resources by the Ombudsman, whilst obviously trying so very hard to discredit me in the process. I understand that confidentiality is a fundamental part of our work, ensuring that sensitive matters are handled with the utmost respect and care. I greatly value the work that we do as a council and the trust our colleagues and constituents place in us. Thank you for your consideration in this apology. Governance, please include this apology in the minutes for confirmation. Thank you.
I need a mover. Councillor Davey, you've moved to accept
I wish
that.
to move that the statement be tabled at the council meeting and recorded in full in the meeting minutes.
Thank you. Seconded by
Happy to second.
Councillor Cornish. Right, that's all we need to do. Oh, so I've got to get a vote on it. Those in favour, please. Those against. Motion's carried. Now we're moving into confidential at this point in time for item 15.1, page 248. And I seek a mover to move into confidence. Councillor Jones.
Can I ask a question before, please?
Can you ask a question? Yes.
Why is this in confidence, but appointing an ERA Water Audit Committee member is not in confidence? It makes no sense to me. I cannot see anything confidential in this report.
Through the Mayor, it was the request of the Brownhill Gazette Creek Board and the committee to request all councillors to keep it in confidence, particularly because of the personal references included within the body of the report that's provided with the applicants and in terms of their background. Within the attachment.
Those comments are on page 252. Right, now I seek a mover to move into confidence. Councillor Jennings, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Turnbull. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Sorry?
Can I speak against it?
I should have allowed him to speak against. Okay, sorry, I need you to be given the opportunity. I'll do the re-vote again.
Okay, well, I've got two objections to get to this motion. One is I don't think the details about the applicants on page 252 are remotely confidential. And the other thing I have a problem with is continuing to record the confidential motion, because the meeting procedures are very clear. The default position is that confidential matters are not recorded. And I object to it being turned around to saying the default position is that they are recorded and that we then have to speak and vote against it. Because as we know, it's quite hard to change the meeting procedures because you need a 2/3 majority. And what this seems to be doing is doing an end run around the meeting procedures to say you only need a 50% vote in favour. So I object to that in principle, regardless of whether it's a good idea. If it's our position is going to change, the default position is that we are going to record confidential matters, then that should be changed as part of the meeting procedures process, which we're going through at the moment. So I cannot see what the great rush is to change this when we're going through a process and we'll get to vote on the meeting procedures and potential changes very soon anyway. So I really do object to this. And you'd think, well, it's setting a slippery slope. What next? Do we suddenly decide that we can have a 50% vote to increase or reduce speaking lengths? You know, what else are we going to change? So, look, I hope you will vote against this motion.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? As I've given Councillor Jones the opportunity, I need to give others the opportunity as well. Councillor Davey.
Could we hear the acting CEO's response to the statement that's been made and where that fits in? Because it does raise, Councillor Jones has raised some issues, and normally for the to cover us, I'm happy to support voting for things and keeping them in confidence. But if it's been stated there isn't any reason for protection of individuals' privacy or salaries or whatever, and for the changes to the recording of confidential meeting dialogue, what are the implications, please? Thank you.
Through the Mayor, Mr. Kant has already covered off on part of Councillor Jones's concerns, so I'll speak more so to the officer's recommendation. Similar to any report, the officer's recommendation was put on this agenda and published, so that is the officer's recommendation for the reasons that were emailed, which is the accuracy of the minutes. We couldn't think of any reasons why it's not a good idea, because the benefit is to assist the minute takers ultimately. However, Council is king, and if Council doesn't want to go with the officer's recommendation, Council is entirely entitled to do so. Sorry, through the Chair to answer that as well, if you're inclined to vote against this motion, then an alternate motion which doesn't include the recording can be moved.
Councillor Turnbull.
Look, at the risk of being petulant, and I don't care if it's in confidence or not, but at the risk of being petulant, I'm tired of being asked to rubber stamp the names of the nominees for a board when they've never given a presentation or even made themselves known. We're doing it all the time.
Through the Mayor, pardon me and pardon the interruption, but I will just caution that it is a confidential report and we're still in public at the moment, so we'll just be careful about debating the report itself at this stage.
So if you want to move an alternate motion, Councillor Jones.
You have to vote on this one.
All right, so we have to vote on this one first, vote it down, and then an alternate can be put up. All right, or it's accepted and we move on. All right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? The motion's carried. I think that was 5-4. Yep. Right, now we